LaSala show. I don't know what the fuck episode this is, but we're joined by
Chuck
and
Chucksty.
exactly. That's exactly her name. And we're sitting here tonight, and we're really figuring out the ins and outs of the strip club world and how does it work?
The etiquette
and the boners and the back rooms.
the unspoken, I would say, etiquette of it. Okay, so the guy that trained me when I first started working, I had never, before I ever worked in a strip club, I had only ever been to a strip club once before in my life. And it was for my 19th birthday. It was a boss that brought me there. And it wasn't planned or anything. We were just going to go to New Orleans, have a good time. He kind of felt bad that the actual night of my birthday, I didn't do anything because the girl I was dating at the time, she was sick. I brought her home. I kind of wanted to hang out with her, so it kind of killed my night. So he asked what I was doing the next day, and he said, pack a bag, bring a burnt shirt, bring a shirt for the store, and fucked up there, and
No,
wear it,
he
right?
said
And he was thinking so far ahead. What it was he had everybody that was coming on the trip to bring a shirt and wear a shirt from his business.
Yeah.
And he told them that
Represent.
we were a promotional crew because he owned a franchise of smoke shops. And
but you have to like
that
light
got us
part of the shirt on fire because
well,
Yeah.
so the reason I feel like I was like, man, this dude thought so far ahead, right, is because we're going to New Orleans, right? And it's kind of an unspoken thing, generally speaking, that women have a much easier time getting into bars, whether they're of age or
Absolutely, 100%.
especially, and not all states.
Speaking from
Not
personal
all,
experience.
not all states do the 18 to get in, 21 to drink. Some are just 21 to get
I
in,
was
right?
14.
So, right, but women tend to have a much easier time getting into bars, even if they're not old enough to drink, or however the situation goes, than men do. And I think he thought of that because kind of the point he told me of invite all the people, get everybody together, because we're going to go celebrate your birthday because you're not doing it on your actual birthday. So it was the night after, and we go, and he made us all wear these shirts, right? And
That's
they
marketing.
checked me and a couple other, the girls that were close to my age, the girl I was dating at the time, all that.
Damn.
They were fine.
Oh, yeah,
when
they don't check your ID.
when
I've never had my ID
when I walked up, they were like, I always kind of had a baby face. If I shave well enough, I do. I still a little bit do. I like to hope I do.
You look young.
I do.
we're all
So I hand the door girl, because they had door guy, door girl, but she was.
They had a door girl.
It was a door girl and a door guy.
Draw people in, yeah.
Yeah, it's a door girl and a door guy. But
Did you
yeah,
see a
Did she
big
have her
old?
tits out? Or?
no.
Okay.
So
See, I've seen some on New
So-
Orleans on the street.
oh yeah, you will.
Oh,
So I
this is
show
New
her,
Orleans,
I
okay.
show her my ID, and she's like, he can't come in. Everywhere on New Orleans is 21 and over, and he's like, you don't understand. This is part of my promotional crew. Either he comes in, or none of us come in.
Yeah.
And one of the managers was standing right there,
Like, oh, fuck
and
no,
he's
we
like,
want
oh,
them
wait,
in. We want
you
them
know.
in.
So she drew a big X and two small X and wrote "baby" on my hand. Right.
No. She wanted to suck your dick.
First and
of all.
only.
Hey, baby. Hey,
First
baby.
and only
Give me that dick, baby.
time I ever go to a strip club, right? I get called a baby. I'm like, oh,
Damn,
shit,
dude.
right?
I feel like
So
that was like she wanted you in the private room.
I walk in, right? They have a couple of bars. This is on Bourbon Street. I won't name the club, but I walk in.
Did you have a hand grenade?
My boss had already walked inside.
Oh, did he?
Oh, okay.
As soon as he saw I was getting the okay, he walked inside, right? So I walk inside, I run into him. He says, hey, he said, go to the bathroom and wash that shit off your hand, right? So I
Yeah.
did, but everyone else got wristbands. So I'm like, okay, well, fucking whatever, right? So this is on Bourbon Street. Well, this dude, the boss I had, liked when he had the ability to spend money. He liked to have a good time.
And let him.
And absolutely, right? So he says, he talks to somebody, whatever, and then he walks up to us and he's like, everybody, follow me. We walk up to the second story. We go up, we go to this room. The room is overlooking Bourbon Street.
I think This is the same
It's got a
place I went
balcony.
for the first
It's
time.
a deja vu.
No,
And-
I went to this place one time.
Well, no.
When I
The
was
club
17.
the club is called Deja Vu.
Oh, okay.
This is the one I was going to. Yeah, no, it's okay. That's not a big deal.
It's not a
as long
business.
as I'm not implicating anybody
no
that may have
longer.
facilitated
The
anything.
implications.
But I think the
Allegedly.
statute of
It's
limitation is gone now. So
A state of mind. State of mind.
so me, the girl I was dating at the time, a bunch of our coworkers, all of us, he brings us all up to this room. And it's still there, and it's not bad to say this or wrong. If you ever go to Bourbon Street and you're with a bunch of friends, guys, girls, whatever, and y'all want to spend money and go to a strip club and have a good time, go to Deja Vu, ask for the private room that has the balcony, because it's got its own private pole and its own private bar, and you
So
get your
this
own
isn't
private
the same
bartender.
one I went to then.
And it's got your own private bartender, right? So not only that, we had a door guy outside of the room.
How much did that cost?
Yeah, I was about
I
to
don't
say.
know.
I was
I
about
don't.
to
I
say.
don't know
Because this
because
is
I didn't
same
spend the
one I
money.
went to.
It was
I
my.
got allowed into a fucking strip club
It was-
on Bourbon Street whenever I was not old enough, which I will not say the name of because I don't remember. But
And they were
there
gonna have to
was.
put you on stage though.
No,
So-
they gave me a private tour. They gave me and my girlfriends a private tour.
Oh.
So
They were trying to set it up.
what
Maybe.
happened was not only this was to me, and this was the memorable thing about the one time I went to a strip club before I ever worked in one. Right? Clarification: not as a dancer, as an
Although
actual.
clarification, he can work it.
I've known to swing
I
around
don't know
pole a
for
couple of
sure,
times.
but I'm sure he can.
Step out the car, sir. Dance.
Stir,
Drop your weapon. Just squat down. No, so anyway, so
drop your weapon.
one of the what I thought was what was the selling point outside of the private pole, the balcony,
That's fucking awesome.
the private bartender,
Private bartender is
and
great.
we had a door guy that stayed outside of the room. If which there was no doorway to it, or there was no door to it. There was a doorway, no door. He stood in front of that, and anybody that wasn't in the room before didn't get in after, right?
Yeah.
So at one point, it was almost kind of sporadic that we'd get these different girls, and I'm like, man, I thought there was more girls working here, right? And the bartender heard me say that, and she's like, just go talk to the door guy. I'm like, what do you mean? Right? I'm not even old enough to
Door guy's
be
in
in this
charge.
place, right? And she's like,
She
no,
opens,
just
like a binder and it
she's
has
like-
all these girls' pictures.
she's
like
like,
just pick
Pokemon
which one
cards.
you want.
Like
Yeah.
that would have been much
Pokemon
more
card
efficient,
style.
right? But it would have been
I
much
want
more efficient. But
cinnamon and brandy.
so what happened was
Maybe
she
a
was
little
like,
bit of chastity.
she was like, just talk to him. She's like, go talk to him and talk to him. It's about finding a dancer. And I'm like, okay, I'm 19 years old. I barely drank at the time. Even when I started working for this guy, I'd only been working for him about a month.
Yeah,
so the
he
fact that
had
he was being
said.
so nice to like do this as an excuse for him, I think he was just doing it as an excuse to
show off, show up, and show out.
just to go. Yeah, right. But he used my
Hey,
birthday
let
as
him.
an excuse,
Let
and I was
him.
like, hell yeah.
How old was he?
He was probably 30
Oh,
or
I would've
31
guessed
at the
older.
time.
I would have guessed
Dude.
mid-50s.
So
I was
had-
19 at the
He
time,
had
though.
dad
So,
money. He had dad money.
well, he had some. I think it was some family money, and then it has to do with the business, which I will explain to you guys, but not on a podcast. I'll explain
Oh yeah,
where
yeah.
the
We
money
can
came
brush
from.
over
But
that. We can brush over that.
but he did. He was well about making money, and he took a lot of chances, and some good things paid out. But this was before even. Anyway, so the private bartender goes, talk to the door guy, talk to him about dancers. And so I walk over there, I'm like, apparently I'm
bruh,
supposed to talk to you about
dancers?
dancers. And he's like, oh, follow me, right? Now in this club, when you walked in, there was a main stage, and it was a big main stage, and they had 2 short poles and 1 really, really long pole. Side
to
story,
the ceiling.
like to the ceiling, right? Because this was a
And this
two
was
and a
not a
half story
customer's
place,
dick.
right? Right. So, a side note, kind of a funny but fucked up. It's funny now because she's okay, but it was fucked up at the time. They had 2 short poles and then a long pole. This girl had as soon as I walked in, before I even washed the X's off of my hands, before I even made it to the bar where my boss was at, I look over and I see this girl, and she is just climbing this pole. I mean,
She's
dude,
like
she's
doing like Cirque du
Climbing
Soleil.
the
she's
beanstalk.
dude, she's fucking 30, 35 foot in the air. I
Climbing
mean,
the
easy, right?
beanstalk.
And then the whole everybody at which working in a bar, working in a strip club, we called it this. It's not the official term. obviously.
What is it?
But the seating around the main stage, we called it Pervert's Row. It's fucked up.
Love it.
It's fucked up,
Love
but that's
it.
what we called it, Pervert's Row.
It
See,
is.
I would
So-
think the opposite. Like, if you sit in the back, you're a pervert, because, like...
No, because
up
if you
front
because
close,
if you
no.
sit in the back and you're being too much to yourself, workers
Then-
recognize that as a problem.
I see,
I'm
I
telling
see.
you that from experience. So
Okay,
anyway,
okay.
and I'll get to that, but
I'll take
this
notes.
girl,
Videoing.
she climbs.
Oh,
she
I didn't
climbs.
think about
Right,
that.
right. It's very.
Yeah.
You have to watch about blue light on people's faces if they're not filming something. So,
Right.
and there's a legality reason for that most people don't realize. But I'll get to that. So this girl's climbing up this pole, right? And I'm like, holy shit, dude, she's high in the air, dude. That's cool as fuck, right? And she's doing all these crazy tricks, man. And she hooks her legs, and she's spinning around, and she's coming down the pole, and she's upside down, but she's got her legs hooked. She hooked, and all of a sudden you hear, "Rah," and it was her legs losing grip.
Yeah.
And dude, she fell about 20 feet,
She
and
was
just
sweating too much.
boom.
Yeah, she couldn't
Hit the-
catch
hit
that.
the
No,
stage,
'cause
right?
The thing is, like, those poles are
And-
cleaned in between.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah,
in
yeah,
between
yeah.
it's
girls,
called stage
they're
maintenance.
clean.
Well,
Wipe
not
those
between
down.
girls, but throughout the night. It's called
Yeah,
stage
but
maintenance.
it's
right?
also to make sure there's no slickness, no sweat, no body oil, no glitter.
And lotion.
Vaginal
Right.
Yeah,
So-
because pussies be juicing.
So-
They be juicing.
Pussies
Right.
be juicing is the
So-
name of the episode right now.
Yes.
So
name of
pussies
the
be
episode.
juicing. So she hits the fucking stage, right? And everyone's like,
On her head.
and she
On her
Yeah,
head.
where did she
head
land?
back, like she landed kind of. So she what she was doing, and this is hard to visualize, but for recording, but she had her legs hooked around the pole, and she was upside down.
Okay.
And when she
Yeah.
was upside down, she was swinging around the pole like that.
So she hit almost probably a 90-degree angle with
So
her
she
neck
did-
and back.
She did what my father, love him to death, rest in peace, called a 3-point landing. Head, shoulders, and ass in that order.
God damn.
She hit her. I mean, when she came down, she was at an angle, and it was like, boof, boof, boof.
That's enough
you know,
for
so she just,
a concussion, a neck break, a spinal
Oh, dude.
break. Oh, that's enough to kill you.
But here's the thing: when she hit the stage,
popped right
everyone was
back
like,
Did
and
pop right
she
back?
rolled right over and popped back up and started
started
twerking.
twerking.
Shaking that booty.
And she was
Yes.
twerking, right? And
That is
everyone's
a
like,
fucking
yeah.
professional.
And then she
That is
stood
a
up and she
professional.
wobbled. She wobbled a good bit when she stood up, and a couple of
Because they're wearing
the guys are
it's
like,
the,
yeah,
it's
like,
the
hold on.
shoes that
So-
made her wobble. It's the shoes.
That
That,
got off-
bitch had it.
That got off subject, but I was told by the bartender in this private
Do
room.
they have health insurance for this shit?
No, and I will explain
Life
why. No,
insurance,
I will
hopefully.
explain why. I will explain exactly why. So, this door guy, the bartender
high of
tells
a
me,
fucking-
the bartender tells me, right, go talk to the door guy, and I'm like, apparently I'm supposed to talk to you about dancers, and he's like, yeah, which dancer? And I'm like,
The one that just
I
fell
said,
on
I
her
just,
head.
if can I like ask what are, and he's like, oh,
Can I
he's like,
just hold her?
come over here, right? So when you walk in this place, as soon as you walk in the door, the main stage is right there. There's a bar here, a bar there, but there's a set of stairs that are almost in front of you, but they're towards the back of the room. It's like a balcony that overlooks the whole building. That's why the pole goes so high.
I'm pretty sure that's the same place I went.
So it's a deja vu. And
Wait, hold on. I'm having deja vu about deja vu.
Deja vu, deja vu, deja vu.
so all we did was walk to
Deja vu.
the balcony on the
Look at
inside,
you.
and he's like, just any one of the girls. And I'm like, what do you mean? He's
Wait,
like,
they're all just sitting there?
Anyone.
well, whether they're walking around the room, sitting with a customer, on stage, anything,
they
he's like, just
twerking,
point them out. And if you
they-
want them up here, I will. And I was like, what about that girl? And this girl was walking by, and he got on the radio and was like, hey, send so and so up here.
cinnamon.
30 seconds later, dude,
Cinnamon.
she was up in our room, right?
Sin cinnamon.
So-
cinnamon.
That was the experience I
Sin
had,
cinnamon in.
Send cinnamon.
more or less, right?
Sin
But
cinnamon. Sin cinnamon.
getting to the etiquette, I never understood the etiquette, right? And there's actually an etiquette among workers.
Oh,
Dancers.
I'm sure.
Now,
Don't hit on your fucking coworkers.
one thing, right?
Don't
but,
bring up how hot
but
their tits are,
as far as the
even
as,
if they're super hot.
as far as
Don't
the girls,
slap
okay,
their
so
tits.
Don't.
here's
hold on,
the
wait.
thing.
Try not
So-
to slap their tits.
so here's the thing, and this is a lot. This is a very it's hard for people to realize or wrap their head around if you've never even come close to considering being a dancer or working for a club itself, which does not mean that you work for that you'll be a dancer, because the majority of clubs in this country, strip clubs, the girls that work there that dance, they pay rent to work there.
No, they do. They have to.
Oh,
Okay.
it's like a hair salon. Like
Exactly.
you have to pay for your chair.
The
just
girls,
like a tattoo shop.
The girls
Same thing.
are not employed by the club.
Yeah,
they are
no, I knew
considered
that.
independent
I
contractors,
knew that.
right?
So
So
walk out with cash every night. And
when I
it's almost-
it's for liability, right? So when I started working in a strip club, I worked for the club.
Yeah, you
and that's
actually worked for
something
the
that
club.
I had to be explained to is that you have to cater to these women very much so.
Right.
But keep in mind
them
they
around.
are not our employees. So it's a very different line you have to
Especially
skirt,
the best
right?
ones. The best ones, you want to fucking schmooze your nooge. you
Right,
know?
right. And you want to. Everyone's playing a game in that building, right?
So okay, here's my question.
Okay.
So if they're independent contractors,
Mm-hmm.
basically they can switch on a dime and become prostitutes if they so choose.
Well, they can already do that, I feel like,
Well,
within the club.
Yeah, anybody can do
In
that
a
at
private
any
room,
point in time.
A private room is a private room.
But
you never know
if
what
you're
goes on.
contracting within the building, you have to follow the building's rules. So
Ah.
But what about in those private rooms? No one knows what goes on in those private rooms. There aren't cameras. It's illegal to have cameras, I would think.
I would think so too.
no, it's not illegal
Ah,
because when the
there- there
women
could be
Oh, 'cause
violence.
contract
There could be
when the
violence.
women
Yeah.
contract into there, that's part of
and
the
you would
clause
want
is
a
that.
fucking camera in there. I would want a camera in there just
So-
in case.
No shit.
Every-
like somebody
the
I'd be-
majority-
I'd be
choking
hiding.
you.
Okay.
I'd be hiding my
And
fucking
here's the thing.
butterfly up my pussy. I'd be
Here's
hiding
the
my
thing.
butterfly up my pussy.
Well, and
It's
see,
not big enough.
Chuckette, listen, you're saying too much, all right?
and so
My
so
pussy
here's
might not be big enough, but I'd be hiding something up there.
and so here's the thing, right? So
I could fit that. Maybe. It would not feel good.
almost every strip club I've ever been to, even the private rooms, usually they have glass doors. They have something you can see through,
See,
right?
I only seen like curtains, like
Right,
row-
even though it's a curtain, it's not a
curtains.
closed lock
No,
or any
it's
kind
not a
of
locked
right.
door. Fuck no, it better not
So-
be a locked door.
This poor girl, which she did great. Actually, I can't say that. She did great. She worked with us. She started out as a bartender, and in the daytime, she would kind of act as the floor manager, which means you had to go and count the dances, the private dances every girl was doing, because the club takes a cut of their private dances.
Of course.
So at one point, she's walking around. It's like one of her first days, and she walks up to me and the GM that's standing there, and she's like, "Hey," she's like, "I have a question for y'all." And we're like, "What's up?" She's like, "That girl's in the private room." And we were like, "Yeah, it's so-and-so, and she's got a customer in there, whatever. She got 30 minutes, whatever." And she's like, "Well, I'm just wondering, like, is the customer allowed to have his dick out?" And me and the fucking manager were like, "Oh, shit." And we
Oh,
walked over
shit,
there.
yeah.
We over there, we're like, "Hey, put that shit away." And he's like, "Ugh," you know, and
Yeah.
fucking just,
Well, 'cause-
right.
And let me ask this: a private dance costs so much
Right.
for 30 minutes. Costs so much.
15,
And-
30 minutes an hour, whatever it is,
and,
right?
Yeah, and you give the fucking club a cut of it, and whatever you get tipped is your
Right.
tip on top.
Right.
So she just wanted that extra tip.
Probably.
So
Yeah.
Chuck, me and you,
Mm-hmm.
speaking as men,
Mhm.
what would be the best attire to wear to a strip club if you wanted to actually come from a lap dance? It wouldn't be Levi's, right?
I feel like it would be.
I think if that is what you're expecting to get out
Well,
of a strip
not expecting,
club,
but let's say you're preparing.
or let's say it happens,
You're preparing for
like
the worst.
worst case scenario,
or
right?
maybe the best. Preparing for the best. Preparing for the worst.
at the
pay
moment, it would feel like,
$20
okay.
and I get a lap dance and I come.
I feel like
Layers. Wear layers.
Yeah.
So that
Layers.
Dark
wear
wash.
layers and dark wash so it doesn't seep through and show.
You tuck it up into the strap.
It's
into
not
the
that's
belt.
not to advocate go try doing for that, but if that's something you're worried about,
Like, how-
then
What is the etiquette though? Because we were talking about this before the podcast started.
okay.
What's the etiquette if you all of a sudden get a fucking boner in the
So,
middle of
okay.
just watching a girl dance? What
So-
do you do?
so-
Try and tuck it into your fucking
Also,
waistband
that's
real
weak
quick?
shit. That's weak shit.
It depends. Okay, so
I
but
mean-
situationally, like let's look at the situational.
I have
right?
been known to turn
So
on
if
a
you're
guy
just-
just by moving my body
No, okay, but here's the thing. All right, how old
without touching.
We're in our 30s. Let's just all just say we're in our 30s. There needs to be some physical contact before we get some sort of erection.
There's a
Some
way.
blood flow, right?
There is a certain way
Yeah.
some women can move, and just by watching them, they can get you there without that.
and everybody's got a preference, right? So I think that's an individual
What if it just really
thing.
does it for you? Well, let's say the bitch just really does it for you.
All right, so
what do you do with that fucking Woody?
I'll go with that.
Do you play Where's Waldo? And fucking...
Okay, so I mean that your question comes up to like personal preference. It's also situationally. Like if they're just standing in the back of the room, they'll probably just tuck it up in their waistband if they're watching something, right? You know. Now,
like you used to do in high school.
When you're getting a like a private dance,
I feel like it's proper or like it should be assumed that you're gonna get a hard on.
Right, they're expected.
But how does the guy get? He leaves with blue balls? No.
Well, that's how it should be, but that's up to the...
Does she think that she's, like, failed herself as a dancer if she doesn't get him off?
No, I don't think so whatsoever.
Well, because you're not supposed to, because then that turns
she's not
into
there.
sex work,
she's not there
which
to
I'm
get
okay
anybody
with,
off.
100%.
She's not
sex
there
work,
to turn
your
anybody
body,
on. She's there to
your
make
choice.
her money. If you paid for the dances, it doesn't matter how you feel during the dances.
What
She already got her money.
bathrooms look like in the men's room?
Oh gosh, think about those fucking.
It's like, dude, I can't even get in my car right now. I have to go beat off into this sink.
So I mean, that's some
That's
people.
That's what the glory holes are for, Jesse.
So
I didn't know they had those.
I mean, I assume they have glory holes.
Chuckette?
It's Miss Chuckette to you.
Miss Chuckette?
So when it comes to
Chucksty.
Okay, so
Chucksty.
I don't even know what I said.
So when it comes to etiquette, as far as customers wise, I would say it's almost more finicky than like just your general being around women in public. You know, this woman is like providing a service that is you know, different outside of what you would get normally in public, so you have to be more respectful of that. So I feel like people should understand that. However, people don't. Exactly.
People never understand anything.
What not a lot of people realize is that there's also stripper to stripper or dancer to dancer etiquette between them at the clubs. And there's like unwritten rules that have come across that I was like, I watched my boss defend a girl who I thought was in the wrong for starting shit because of... Okay, so what happened was, from my point of view, I was in my DJ booth. This girl came up to me after she did her stage set. She comes up and she says, I want to change some music. She's like, but before I change some music on my playlist, can you get me a cup of water? I'm like, yeah, the bartender's busy. I said, you want a little ice, a lot of ice? She said, no ice. And I'm like, okay. So I bring her this cup of water. She takes like this tiny little sip out of it, puts it down, and she's just standing there. Now, for context,
diva.
Well, not really. She was actually pretty chill, and that's why it surprised me so much.
She was doing a lot of coke, and she had dry mouth.
She literally took like one little tiny baby sip out of it, and she put it back down. And for context, my DJ booth was a raised DJ booth, and it was right across from a small hallway that the girls' bathroom was right in front of mine. Right in front of my DJ booth. Well, this one girl walks out of the bathroom, and in the middle of me asking this girl, who said she wanted to change her music playlist, she, out of the blue, just picks up this cup and pours this whole fucking cup of water on this girl's head, and is like, bitch, you motherfucker. And I'm like, whoa.
What she did, she bought her glitter? She bought her glitter?
What happened was, I got on the mic, and I called my boss over, my manager, and when he heard the whole story, he was like, no, she's actually, the dancer's name was Lola. Lola was actually in the right, even though pouring the hair. What it was, what you will notice, anytime you
Hold on to that thought.
Whenever you ever go to a strip club, watch when there's a girl on the main stage, no other dancer will sit in a dude's lap that's at Pervert Road, that's at the main stage.
That's fucking bad etiquette.
This is why,
That's bad etiquette. I believe you.
This is why, though.
It's taken away from her money.
The private dances.
No, I totally get that.
The private dances that
go on in
girls
private
do,
rooms.
right? But the club taxes those. They take a portion of that.
No, but I get she
the
was
stage
trying to do
money,
dirty.
The stage money.
To do dirty. She
well,
was
right,
doing dirty.
she was. She probably was. She was also this girl that was in the wrong, was inexperienced. It was like her first time working in a club.
We could blame it on inexperience, but no,
what it is that the girls, when they do private dances, the club takes a portion of that.
No, and she was
but
trying
that's
to get
where
out,
they make the majority of it.
She was trying to get out without that tax.
But this girl was on.
Also taking
the girl
off
that
of
was
that
mad.
Girl's money.
Well, the girl that was mad was on stage.
She
The
was
stage
taking
money,
from her
the
money.
dollar bills are not taxed. So
shouldn't be.
it's cutting her away from money more.
No, I totally
so.
get what you're saying. Yeah, no.
And
So
I
she
was
was
like-
trying to get out of fucking being taxed by the club, but also getting a cut of that girl's money technically.
Right, and she
Pervert
got
row
in the
is
way.
pervert row. Like
Right,
those
that's-
motherfuckers
they're
are there to see the
watch
fucking-
the main stage.
No, I totally
Don't
get that.
block the girl on
I
the main
totally
stage.
At
get
least
that.
it wasn't, like Corona. Like it was water.
Yeah,
It's all right.
She's lucky it was water and not like a fucking 151,
Or like some
flaming Dr. Pepper.
right.
No, or a flaming Dr. Pepper.
Yeah,
Imagine that and that fucking hair-sprayed ass hair.
And shit. Yeah.
Oh, because I was gonna think maybe she borrowed her wig and didn't like fucking brush it out enough.
No, now I watched two girls get into a fight because one thought the other one stole her shoes, and
That's
that
kind
was
of
a whole
hard to
thing.
fucking get away with because like those are some specific ass shoes.
Right. We actually so I had two customers that always stuck out to me. I mean, I had others, but these two
In a
stuck out the
creepy
most.
way?
No, in just a very different individual way. This one guy would show up. He was very tall, lanky, kind of quiet.
Oh.
He would get
wait,
private
hold on.
dances,
Don't
and every
call me
now
out.
and then. No. And
His
but
name
he
was
would,
not.
He would never get private dances. He would never anything like that. But a couple times he came in with shoe boxes. And finally one day I asked this dude, I'm like, what's the deal? He's like, I own a local shoe repair shop. And it's kind of a dying art, but I actually make a lot of money
One of the
repairing
guys that comes here
dancers' shoes because
works.
dancers' shoes are really expensive.
Daniel
Yes.
Day-Lewis.
So they don't want to
Right.
they don't want to replace them. They want to get them fixed if they can. And so he would show up at the club and give out his card,
No,
and that's
one of
how
our
he'd make a lot of
regulars.
money.
Yeah.
Dude was repairing dancers' shoes,
One of our
right?
regulars repair shoes.
This other guy, right? So he was
Total Daniel
he would,
Day-Lewis.
he would always come in, and he was kind of short. He was heavy set, but he was always in a nice
Daniel
like button
Day
down, slacks, everything. And he'd show up about once a week, and he'd always show up in the daytime. And you could tell this dude had money. You could tell this and that. But I
Daniel
always
Day
told him.
Jewish.
I told him. Lakaya, motherfuckers. So this dude.
Chuck is Jewish, so we can make the
Yeah, it's
so am I. So
Yeah,
is
yeah. So
Chucksty.
L'chaim.
So, Chucksty, that was the name. So, this guy, he comes in. I see him come in several times, and I'm like, finally one day, I'm like, hey, dude, you pay for the daytime price, but I'll be working the night, and if you paid during the day, it doesn't matter that the price goes up after a certain time. You can come back
You
in,
can-
whatever,
yeah,
and I'm
you're
not gonna
good.
charge you anything.
You're good.
He's like, no, I got everything I needed. To which I was like, what you mean? And he's like, no. He's like, look, I had some heart issues a while back. And so now I have a pacemaker. And in order to charge my pacemaker, occasionally I have to get my heart rate up. So my doctor told me to work out or do something that gets my heart rate up.
He's like, I'd rather come
So
watch
I get
some
a
bitches
dance
work
from this 19-year-old
That's
girl
hilarious.
dancing on top. It gets my heart rate up, and I charge up my pacemaker. So he's
Oh
like,
my
so I'm
He's
good.
like, yeah,
and
I'm not gonna work out. I'll just fucking get
yeah,
twerked
my
on.
fucking
Hey, look, if
doctor
it's
prescribed me to come to a strip
if
club.
it's
Doctor
stupid but
said-
it works, it's not that stupid.
Doctor's
you know?
orders. Doctor's orders.
All right, so you said the girl's name was Lola. So there's a movie called Zola.
Right.
No, you don't know what I was talking about with Lola?
Like the Eric Clapton song?
Yes.
Or
how
Derek and the no, it was Layla.
it's about one. No,
Layla.
it's Lola.
Lola.
It's Lola.
No, you're thinking of
yeah.
Lola. That's not.
not- no.
No, I
Okay.
I know that song, but that's
no,
not.
but there's a Lola one.
That's not Eric Clapton. Eric
Lola
Clapton
not
is
Eric.
Layla.
wants you.
But there is
Lola,
Lola. Yeah.
Lola. So that y'all know about that song and what it's about.
Yeah.
It's about their fucking roadie falling in love with a trans, like a tranny on tour, like while on
Wow.
tour, and Lola is this trans like person, which is fucking
I mean,
fine.
Right.
But it's just so
awesome,
funny
but
that
also-
like the Lola.
It was
thing
so
came
much.
out.
It was so much
Years
less
ago.
accepted at that time.
Yeah.
That like.
But that's what Lola's about. Is their fucking like their roadie fucking falling in
Wow.
love with Lola.
But definitely go watch this movie Zola.
Tell us about Zola.
Zola. It's basically kind of the strip club world and the things they have to go through. The bodyguards.
Really?
the-
I've never heard of it.
Dude, it's
So yeah. So there's
88 on
clubs.
Rotten Tomatoes.
There's clubs that like
I watch it on
offer
anything?
like full service like bodyguards basically for their dancers and stuff like that. Like part of so when I first started working in a club and when I first came back to town and a lot of my guy friends found out I had been working in a strip club, they were like, "What's it like?" And I would give them the aspect of what I would do in the club. And they're like,
Yeah.
yeah, but what about the girls? And I'm like,
Stop being a
have you
creeper.
ever seen a girl naked before? And they're
Yeah,
like, yeah.
have you
I'm
ever
like,
fucked
that's
a
what
girl?
it looks like,
Have you ever
right?
had a girl dance in front of you naked?
and so-
Like, stop being a creeper.
And so one of the things that...
You have to disassociate, detach that fucking sexual
Right.
aspect.
And that's what I
Yeah.
did. That's what I expected to
If
do.
I was
so,
a dude, I would have to. As a woman, as a straight woman, I would have to fucking disassociate and detach that fucking sexual
absolutely.
aspect of seeing naked women fucking twerking
So,
and bounce their fucking asses.
as a male working in the club, it was
as a
asked to
straight
me.
woman, I'd have
they're
to
like,
fucking
what?
be like, "Who? Calm down, girl."
How do you? The people would ask me, how do you describe your job? And I'm like, okay, when it comes to the women, I said it's like having, because our
Bunch
club
of
was a pretty good sized club, right? I said
But
it
a
was
bunch
it
of
was
females
it was
you
like
think of as sisters.
well, not necessarily. I said it was like having.
Sisters you want to fuck.
I said it was like, I said it was like having 30 girlfriends at a time and not getting the good part of any of it.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Because I had to walk them to their car. I had to, like,
Deal
if some
with them
guy was
crying,
bothering,
their
get them their
messy
drink,
ass
all
shit,
this. I did
yeah.
everything a boyfriend would do without taking them home, right? They just
Yeah.
tipped me at the end of the night for it.
You can still see the titties at least, though.
Right, and this was a full new. And so that was one thing, like, the girls told me one day, they were like, dude, they're like, I just want you, a couple of the girls told me one day, they're like, dude, I just want you to know, a lot of the girls love you around here. And I'm like, what are you talking about? You know? And they're like, dude, they just,
Because
like, they gravitate towards you.
You probably
and I'm
weren't like creep. You weren't threatening.
that was exactly what it was.
Yeah,
It was like,
you were
these
just,
girls
like,
would walk
all
up to
about
me
business.
and they would be completely naked and they're asking me a question. I'm looking at them in their face.
Yeah, you're just like it's all about
answering their
business.
question,
It's like,
right? And they're like, you just don't give us that, she's like, we deal with males in this industry and we're so tired of trying to ask a question and they're not paying attention because they're
And
looking
they're
at our
just like,
chest or our
"Oh
ass
my
or
God,
something,
titties. Oh,
and
yeah.
it was just the fact that I was listening to them and focusing on them, and I'm like, well, you're asking me a question, so I'm gonna listen to you,
Right. Right.
and apparently that's an uncommon thing, and it's like, well, that should be a common thing just humanitarianly.
Well,
like,
I mean, if you're gonna be in that business, you have to understand how to make yourself important and available and not creepy.
right.
Because
Well, and like, all the girls knew at the time, when I was working there, they all knew, like, I had a girl at home, and I told them that. I'm like, look, they would ask me, do you think, should I improve on this? What do you think of my outfit? I'm like, I really don't pay attention to that because I got a girl at home. I'm here to do my job.
Right.
Here to make announcements, sell specials,
And that's how it should
and
be,
things
too.
like
If
that.
you have a girl at home, you're
right.
not paying attention
Like,
to all that shit.
I told a couple
love
girls,
that.
they're like,
Love
I don't really watch y'all's dances unless, like, I see something out of the ordinary, like somebody's falling off the stage, or
somebody's, like,
That's
been
respectable
drinking
as
too
fuck.
right.
much
And
or something.
that was always my mentality going into it. And the girl that told me all that was like, that's why the girls love you.
Yeah, you're
here,
like a
is
head
because
coach.
you're like,
You're not-
you actually listen to them. And I'm like, well, if you ask me a question, I'm going to give you an answer. I'm going to listen to you. I'm not going to sit there and stare at your fucking chest when you're standing there asking me
Yeah.
a question. I work here.
And that's how it should be.
And unfortunately, it's not, because
Well,
people
there are
suck,
a lot of
you know?
guys.
A
that
lot of guys
they
can't
stick
control
around
their
and they're like,
permissions.
"Hey, man, I know your boyfriend's been treating you bad, but I got some coke.
But hey, let
and,
me slide up
you
in."
You want me to bring you
And, like,
home? I can do
one
this."
of the most negative experiences I ever had, and I think because I never dealt with the situation, but I felt like in a somewhat similar sense, I could understand why it was fucked up, and how if I was in this guy's position, I would feel pretty upset about it, right? But this girl that worked for us, she called the club a couple of times, and she was like, "Hey, do you see in the parking lot?" And she gave us a description of a vehicle, right? And we're like,
They followed
okay.
her home.
well, this was before she came to work, and so we're like,
So she's
yeah,
watching
we
out
do
for
see.
someone.
Well, we do see the truck. She's like, that's my
Ex or
ex-boyfriend or
Oh,
beat the
current
God.
shit out of me or
and we got into a
something.
big fight, and I don't feel comfortable coming to work if he's there. So
God
me
damn
and
it.
my manager go outside, and we knock on this dude's truck. He got a super dark tent, whatever. We
You
ended up
don't
just
know the
pulling on the
tent.
door and opening up the door, and he's like laid up in his truck, and we're like, hey, dude, we know why you're here and who you're here for, but you got to go. You can't be just sitting here. And he's like, oh, yeah, man, no problem, whatever. And he gives us no problems. Takes off.
That's the thing. All it takes is him coming back
Right,
around.
but we had
Knowing when she
his
gets
vehicle
off or
was
whatever.
his vehicle was very descript enough that we would have seen it coming, and we were like, "Hey man, don't come back tonight because
Yeah.
if we see the vehicle, if we see you, it's gonna be a
That's-
problem, right?"
Well, I can imagine
So-
being one of those dancers and then like even getting followed home though. Like think about getting followed home, like someone creepily waiting in the parking lot for you to leave.
Okay, I have a good
Yeah, I
story
wonder
about
how
that,
would
but
even happen though.
I do have a good
How
story
it
about that,
happened.
and this is gonna
Easily.
trip y'all out. But when it came to the boyfriend situation, when we told him to leave, he was totally cool. He left. He never came back that night. The problem is when the girl showed up, a different dude dropped her off, and we figured out that the reason she called us
She
and
was
told us
cheating.
that was she didn't want him to see
She was a
this
cheating
guy.
ass.
Right, and it kind of made me feel fucked up that we
That's
had
fucked
to
up
treat
of
that guy that way.
her.
Now,
That's fucked up of her.
now, about following people home, right? We had a customer that followed a girl home before I started working there, but I met him after, and what they told him was he was banned for a year, right? So this guy starts coming back. He's real soft-spoken, older guy. When I say older, like 60s at least.
That's a
You know.
Not 38.
But he was
Okay,
kind of
cool.
he was kind of a small frame guy, you know, and all this. And I seen him, and I'm like talking to him, and he's explaining like I got kicked out of here a year ago, whatever, yada yada. So I get my GM because I wasn't there at the time, and they talk, and he leaves, right? Well, the girl starts saying, "Oh, you were talking to," they called him Mr. Garrison, and I'm like,
From South Park.
"You mean like South Park?" And they're like, "Oh yeah," and they're like, "Let me tell you about this dude," right?
Okay.
So he was real soft spoken. He kind of sounded like Mr. Garrison, and
Mr. Garrison.
that's what the girls called him, right? And she's like,
Garrison.
one of the girls, her dancer name
Garrison.
was Jameson, right? And she sat next to me.
Okay.
She's like, let me explain to you what this dude would do. He'd be sitting there talking to you. He'd be sitting there talking to the girls, and then all of a sudden he'd like start feeling your arm, and then start feeling their leg. And what he was feeling for was muscle mass, because when he picked a girl,
would've
this
liked me.
this guy
He
guy
liked muscle
had
mass or no
followed a
muscle
girl
mass?
home, and that's why he got kicked out
He
for a year.
wanted to make sure there
okay?
was no muscle mass.
No, he was looking for muscle mass because when he would ask a girl for a private dance, the condition was, I'd like to buy private dances from you, but I want you to pick me up and wedding carry me around the building before.
Oh.
Yeah,
He was
sharp
one of
turn
those.
there. Yeah.
All I would need is $200, and yes, sir, I will walk you through the door
And,
without hitting
dude,
your
I
head.
will step on your balls.
I will
with
step
high
across
heels.
because the what do they call it? The you know, the door frame. You know, when you carry the woman across the door through the door frame.
Threshold.
I would have carried him across the
Well, that's the thing.
threshold.
A lot of powerful
Upside
people.
down.
A lot of powerful people want to be fucking
Was he big?
manhandled.
No, he was a small
by
guy.
women.
No, he just liked being a little small,
just-
dainty man.
He wanted to be because he
I would have
probably
let him
he
wear his
probably-
wedding dress.
he ran a
I would
company.
propose to him if he'd give me enough money for
He
it.
probably ran a company and he has so much power and he needed something to
that,
be
that,
like
that opposite appeal.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah, no, most people do want
All right,
that.
so we got to get the fuck out of here. But before
Yeah,
we go,
yeah.
I need what's your name again? Your
For the sake of it.
Chuck and Chuckette.
Chucksty.
I
Get
need,
it right, damn
I
it.
need Chuck to give us our. So you're on the mic and you're bringing up Cinnabon, Cookie,
Cinnabon, Cookie, what?
and Bosco.
Cinnabon, Cookie, and Bosco.
Cinnabon, Cookie, and Bosco?
Those are all my cats.
Yeah.
Cinnabon, Cookie, and Bosco. Okay.
All right, so give me your best. All right, girls, we're coming up.
All right, let's see.
Drop your lines.
Hang on. Cinnabon, Cookie, and Bosco. Okay. All right, fellas, on the main stage, that was Cinnamon coming on down. Up next, let's say for 2 songs in. 2 songs only. We have the lovely Miss Cookie. Also at stage number 2, we have Bosco. And remember, fellas, if you like anything you see in this building, talk to any one of these other ladies about a little VIP action. Remember, you sure can't buy love, but you sure can rent it. So as long as you keep the money going, we'll keep the party flowing.
Boom, baby, that shit was meant. All right. So for Chuck and Chucksy, this has been the Jets LaSala show, and until next time, don't die.